He was the heir to billions, a quiet little boy with clouded eyes who had never said a word. Cameras flashed outside the iron gates as the city held its breath, wondering if money could change what nature had written. Inside the glass sunroom, a poor girl with dusty bare feet and muddy hands held a smooth river stone to the boy's palm and whispered, "Do you feel that?" The boy's fingers trembled. A single sunbeam slipped through the curtains and touched his face. His head turned just slightly like he was following the light. The housekeeper gasped. The butler dropped a tray. The billionaire father froze, and the girl's small voice rose, brave and cert. "He knows where the light is." Before we go further, tap subscribe to never miss stories like this. Drop a like if you want more, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. The world knew the father as Daniel Reed. Some called him a legend, others a storm. He built towers that wore the clouds like scarves and bought companies the way most people bought groceries. He was 41 tall, sharp, always 5 steps ahead in boardrooms where voices shook and pens scratched. Yet at home in the grand estate at the edge of the bay, he moved softly. He carried his son, Cole, the way a diver carries air. Cole had been born blind and silent, 3 years without a dita, 3 years without a laugh. Doctors came and went. Therapies charted and failed, machines hummed, monitors blinked, and nothing changed. In the quietest hours when the halls slept and the fountains whispered, Daniel stood by the nursery door, listened to his son's calm breathing, and let the weight of helpless love fill the room. Cole's world was touch, scent, vibration. He loved the hum of the dishwasher, the soft thump of a folded blanket, the warm smell of oatmeal and cinnamon from the kitchen. He did not turn for voices, he did not flinch for sudden claps. He did not look at light, at least not that anyone could tell. He never spoke, not even a hum. His eyes stayed distant, like they were gazing at something far beyond the wall. There were experts, so many experts. Dr. Harris from Boston with a folder thicker than a brick. A therapist from Zurich who arrived with boxes of textured cards. A team from Seattle who wore soft sneakers and spoke in careful tones. They took notes, asked questions, tapped and shone and buzzed and waved. The notes grew into binders. The binders grew into a shelf. But Cole stayed the same, sweet, still, quiet. Daniel paid every bill, signed every form, nodded at every plan. He said thank you. He shook hands. When the cars pulled away, he leaned on the doorframe and closed his eyes. The house was a machine of kindness. Ms. Turner, the house manager, rotated music through the rooms even though Cole did not react. Mr. Blake, the head of security, walked more softly near the nursery. The cook, Mr. Alvarez, switched to gentler smells at lunchtime so nothing would be too sharp. The nanny, Paige, held Cole through the day, resting his cheek against her shoulder while she read books to him anyway. The story words slid through the air like birds with nowhere to land. Still, she read. It made the rooms feel alive. On a warm Monday, a small mistake opened the door to a very big change. Paige's sister got the flu. The backup nanny's car broke down. The agency was slow. Ms. Turner checked her schedule, sighed, and called the housekeeper who worked part-time in the guest cottages, Anna Brooks. "Could you do a few extra hours?" Ms. Turner asked. "We just need calm hands in the laundry wing, keep things moving while we juggle childcare." Anna agreed. She was kind, steady, a quiet helper who knew how to make a room feel safe. "Can I bring my daughter?" Anna asked softly. "Just for the afternoon, daycare is closed." Ms. Turner hesitated. The Reed estate avoided surprises, but Anna was trusted and her voice held a worry Ms. Turner knew well. "All right," she said, "she'll need to stay close to you." So a little afternoon, a girl with big brown eyes and dust on her toes stepped through the service entrance holding a plastic bag of crayons and 2 small river stones. Her name was Lily. She was 4, curious, fearless in the way children are when life has not taught them to be afraid of the wrong things. She wore a faded yellow t-shirt with a tiny blue stain that looked like a raindrop, and her hair was gathered in 2 careful puffs that her mother had made just that morning. "Stay by me," Anna whispered, "no running." "I'll walk like a cloud," Lily promised, tiptoeing to prove it. In the nursery suite, Paige rocked Cole and watched the hallway for the replacement aide who still hadn't arrived. "We're all upside down today," she told Ms. Turner with an apologetic smile. "I can move him to the quiet room." "Do that," Ms. Turner said. "The sunroom is too bright." They chose the smaller space with the soft gray rug and the wooden shelf of sensory toys, smooth blocks, woolen balls, a fuzzy square, a bowl of water pebbles. The curtains were half drawn. The room felt gentle and cool with the scent of washed cotton and the whisper of the bay outside. Paige settled Cole on the rug and let him feel the fuzz of a knit square. He patted it once, twice. His face did not change. Anna passed the doorway, arms full of folded towels. Lily peered in and stopped. She had never seen a room so quiet. She had never seen a boy sit so still. She whispered, "Mama." "SHH," Anna said, shifting the towels. "We're guests." "What's his name?" Lily asked. "That's Cole," Paige answered. "He's 3. "Is he sad?" Lily asked. "He's a quiet," Paige said kindly. Lily edged closer. The house smelled like lemon oil and flowers, her toes pressed into the cool wood. She watched the boy's little hand on the knit square. She watched his chest slow and steady up and down. "Hi Cole," Lily said softly. "I'm Lily. My mom says I talk too much, but I can also be quiet." She pressed her lips together to show how quiet she could be. Her cheeks puffed. A tiny giggle escaped anyway. Paige smiled. "You have a sweet laugh." "Thank you," Lily said, proud and serious. She looked at the bowl of pebbles on the shelf, smooth, cold, round. She loved pebbles. She had 2 in her pocket, special ones from the stream near their apartment. She sometimes held them when she felt scared at night. "Can he touch these?" she asked. Paige nodded. "Yes, we show him different textures." Lily slipped her hand into the bowl and picked one pebble, the flattest, best one. She sat cross-legged on the rug, leaving a careful space between herself and the boy. She put the pebble in her own palm, then placed her hand under Cole's hand like a tiny table. She didn't push, she didn't grab, she just waited as if waiting was the most natural thing in the world. Cole's fingers explored, slow as the minute hand of a clock. He brushed the pebble's edge. He traced the cool, smooth face. He paused, his palm flattened. He stilled the pebble as if he didn't want it to roll away. Lily's eyes shone. "You like flat stones too," she whispered. Paige's eyebrows lifted, just a hair. Usually, adults narrating the textures felt like wind blowing past Cole. But the child's whisper seemed to hang in the air like a ribbon, gentle, not demanding. Lily took her second stone, smaller with a tiny chip, and placed it on the rug near Cole's other hand. She didn't touch him this time. She tapped the pebble twice with her fingernail. Tap, tap, soft, predictable. She waited. Cole's fingers moved again. Tap, tap. He found the second stone by sound. His hand closed over it. The tiniest smile, not a real smile, more like the memory of one, touched his mouth and vanished. Paige held her breath. "Lily," she whispered, "that was good." Lily beamed like someone had pinned a star on her shirt. "I can do gentle things," she said. "Sometimes Mama says I should save my loud for outside." From the doorway, Miss Turner watched, stock still, a towel still in her hands. She had spent months trying to create a path for Cole to notice, to reach, to reply. Therapists taught patterns and plans. And now a child was simply waiting, matching, letting him lead. Ms. Turner swallowed, and a thin line of hope, brighter than she wanted to admit, lit inside her. Footsteps sounded, firm, sure, expensive shoes that had negotiated more marble lobbies than most people would ever see. Daniel paused at the threshold. He had come from a call with a partner in Singapore, the voice still ringing in his ear about margins and market share. He stopped when he saw his son on the rug with a little girl who looked like she had run barefoot through summer. His face changed in a way he wouldn't have allowed in any boardroom. The calm broke. The father came forward. "Who?" he began, then lowered his voice. "Who is this?" "Anna's daughter," Ms. Turner said quickly, calm but ready to defend the choice if needed. "Just for the afternoon. Paige has been alone with Cole. I allowed it." Daniel nodded once. He knelt, slow, careful, as if the air around his son could shatter. He saw the stone in Cole's hand. He saw Lily's patient eyes. He saw Paige's hope, so gentle it almost hid. "Hello," he said, not sure who he was greeting, his son, the girl, the room, the moment. "Hi," Lily whispered back. "I'm being quiet." "You're doing very well," Daniel said, and meant it. Lily looked at Cole again. She put both stones in his palms, one smooth, one chipped. "This is flat," she said. "This is bumpy." She guided his hands to press the stones together. The tiny chip caught. The friction made a soft sound, stone singing against stone, almost like a cricket in the grass. Cole stilled. The sound had a texture too. He lifted both stones and rubbed again. The soft chitter filled the small room. He tilted his head. The stones chittered again. His mouth parted just a bit. Daniel's heart thudded in a place he had been guarding for 3 years. He had stood through speeches and buyouts, through storms and headlines. Nothing had made his chest feel like this, like a door that had rusted shut was shaking on its hinges. "Again," Lily whispered, the word so soft it was almost only on her lips. She rubbed the stones, chitter. She stopped and waited. Cole rubbed them back, chitter. Paige pressed her fingertips to her mouth. "He's copying you," she breathed. "Because it's like a cricket," Lily said matter-of-factly. "Crickets sing when the grass is warm." "Do you like crickets, Cole?" Paige asked, keeping her voice even, open, easy to ignore if it was too much. Cole's fingers slowed. He let one stone fall. The tiny clack on the rug sounded like a bell in a chapel. He kept the flatter stone and tapped it on his palm. Tap, tap. He was testing the world, the sound against skin, the sound against air. "May I open the curtain a little?" Lily asked, looking at Paige. "Just a tiny." "The light might be bright," Paige said. "I'll make a stripe," Lily promised. Miss Turner hesitated. Daniel didn't. "A stripe is fine," he said, fighting the urge to control something, anything. "A small stripe." Lily walked to the curtain like it was a secret she could carry without spilling. She pinched the fabric between two fingers and tugged it just a little. The room changed. A narrow ladder of sun climbed down the wall and landed in a pale line across the rug. Dust drifted through it like quiet glitter. The line stopped inches from Cole's knee. "Watch the stripe," Lily whispered to the room, not to the boy, as if she was talking to the air so it would be ready. She put her own hand into the stripe and pulled it out, showing that it was warm and not scary. Then she placed the flat stone at the very edge of the light. She did not push it closer. She did not say his name again. She breathed and waited. Cole's hand floated unsure, the way a leaf finds its place on a slow river. His fingers touched the warm edge of the beam and paused. The change, cool to warm, was clear as a bell to his skin. He lay his hand down in the light. He did not pull back. His lashes lowered. Then carefully he slid his stone half into the light, half out, and tapped it like a drummer who had just discovered a new drum. Tap in light soft, tap in shadow softer. He was making a map of warmth with sound. "Good," Lily murmured, but she didn't crowd the moment with words. She scooted back an inch, giving the light more space, giving Cole more space, giving the moment as much room as it needed. Daniel realized he had stopped breathing. He let the air out slowly. He had watched surgeons explain charts, watched therapists circle diagrams, watched machines read waves on screens. He had never watched his son choose warmth so clearly with so much calm. The hallway outside carried distant noise, Mr. Blake's radio whispering, the kitchen timer chirping, someone rolling a cart over a bump and apologizing to the cart as if it could hear. The world kept happening. But in the small room, time felt like it had loosened its belt and sat down. Cole lifted his face. His eyes, clouded and far, shifted by a hair. It could have been nothing. It could have been everything. He turned that tiny fraction toward the stripe. The girl saw it first. Children see small things adults miss because they live closer to the ground where small things happen. "He turned," Lily said, the words no louder than a moth's wings. "He turned to the warm." Paige blinked hard. "He did," she said. "He really did." Daniel didn't speak. His throat had become a locked room. He reached into his pocket and found a handkerchief. He squeezed it hard as if it were the only thing anchoring him to the floor. Lily looked at the shelf again. She chose a thin paintbrush from the art box, the soft kind that felt like a feather. She rested it across the stripe like a tiny bridge. Then she moved the brush 1 inch, very slow. The shadow of the brush moved too, sliding over Cole's knee like a cool ribbon, then off again. On, off, a pattern, a quiet drum you feel, not hear. Cole's head made another small adjustment. His fingers opened. The flat stone dropped in the light, clacked on the floor. He flinched, not from fear but from surprise. He leaned toward the place the sound had been. His lips parted. Even Paige forgot to breathe. For 3 years those lips had held every word the world wanted to hear. They were not empty. They were crowded, maybe with things he couldn't sort, maybe with things no one had asked the right way. A voice cut down the hall. Dr. Harris had returned with test results that never learned how to be gentle. He walked fast, not out of rudeness but out of habit. He had counted steps between therapy rooms for 20 years. "We'll try a light grid this afternoon," he called. "And the tactile board again, Mr. Reed, I would also like." He stepped into the doorway and stopped. The scene was small and enormous at the same time. A rich man kneeling on a rug, a nanny's hands shaking, a house manager frozen with a towel she had forgotten how to fold, a little girl moving a paintbrush shadow like a quiet clock over a boy's skin, and a boy leaning toward light he wasn't supposed to notice. "What is this?" Dr. Harris asked, the question falling like a coin into a well. "A stripe," Lily said simply, "and a shadow. He likes the warm better." Dr. Harris opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. He looked at the boy's face. Something in his own face softened, the busy doctor stepping aside to let the kind man step forward. "All right," he said carefully, "all right." Daniel finally found his voice. "What are we seeing?" he asked, hoarse. "I don't know yet," Dr. Harris admitted, "but I know we are seeing it together." He crouched slowly, the way you kneel at a creek so you won't scare the minnows. "Lily, is it? May I learn from you for a moment?" Lily nodded as if he had asked to share a seat at snack time. "You can make the stripe longer," she said, "but not too much. He likes small." Dr. Harris lifted the curtain a finger's width. The stripe grew a little. The light touched Cole's hands. He did not pull away. He lifted his right hand, palm up, as if asking the sun for another coin of warmth. It was the clearest asking he had ever done. From somewhere deep, a sound rose, not a word, not yet, but a breath shaped like one. Paige's tears slipped out quiet, the kind that come when something holy walks through a normal day and sits down without knocking. In the hallway, a phone vibrated on silent in Daniel's pocket, messages, markets, meetings stacked like plates that could wait. He didn't reach for it, he only watched his son. "Cole," he whispered, a father at the edge of a new map. The air changed the way air changes just before thunder, no louder but expectant. Maybe it was only hearts holding a beat. Maybe it was the house itself learning how to listen in a new way. "Can I show him one more thing?" Lily asked. "Yes," Daniel said, though he did not know what the thing was. Lily reached into her pocket and brought out her special blue stone, the one she saved for brave days. It was chipped like the moon. She placed it gently in Cole's sun-warmed hand. Then she did a thing no therapist had tried because it was too small to fit on a chart. She tapped her own chest twice with 2 fingers and then tapped the stone twice in his palm. "Tap, tap, tap, tap. Me," she whispered, "then you." But the words weren't the important part. The rhythm was. She was giving him a bridge of beats to cross from her to him and back. Cole's fingers tightened around the stone. He tapped it once on his palm. The sound was wrong, 1 beat instead of 2. On his face, the tiniest crease appeared, a question. He tried again, tap, tap. He waited as if listening for the next part of a song he could almost hear. Lily answered, tap, tap on her chest, tap, tap on his hand. She waited too. A miracle did not explode. There was no flash, no shout, no scene for headlines. There was a rhythm that 2 children shared, and every adult in the room leaned in and let the smallness be big. Somewhere downstairs, the front door opened and voices swelled. A delivery, a florist, a driver. Life had a way of walking right through miracles with muddy shoes and not even noticing. But the house felt different, as if the walls had learned a new word and were repeating it quietly to themselves to remember. Cole lifted his face again, his pupils pale, clouded, tightened by a pinprick, maybe a trick of the light, maybe a truth. He breathed in, he shaped the breath, his throat moved, the room held still the way a pond holds a skipped stone. The breath became a sound, not a cry, not a laugh, a tiny hushed syllable, broken and brave like a hinge in an old door letting go. His lips parted around it. Paige made a sound she had never made before. Daniel gripped the handkerchief so hard the cloth squeaked. Lee Cole breathed. The hallway clock ticked once. The shadow moved like a hand lifting. Lily's eyes filled, but she did not cry. She held out her palm the way you hold out a landing place for a bird that might want to rest. The sound hung in the air with its whole small body, and then, before anyone could catch it, the front door slammed, a gust of wind pushed up the hall, and the sunstripe vanished as the curtain snapped shut. Darkness slid back over the rug like a calm tide and took the warmth with it. Cole flinched and reached, empty-handed now, mouth open on the edge of a word that couldn't find its way. "Open it," Paige gasped, scrambling for the curtain cord. But the cord had tangled, Ms. Turner's fingers shook, Dr. Harris fumbled, Daniel surged to his feet. From the hallway came the voice of Mr. Blake, urgent, low, wrong. "Sir, we have a situation at the gate." Lily looked at Cole's reaching hands, then at the swaying curtain, and then at the adults frozen between fear and action. She moved first. She was 4. She knew that sometimes doors were heavy and sometimes you could fit through their cracks. She shoved her small arm behind the curtain and felt for the window latch that someone had never checked, because grown-ups forget how small arms can be useful. Her fingers brushed the metal, cold and stubborn. She stretched farther, toes leaving the rug, breath held, the world balanced on the width of a child's wrist. Something outside banged again, the house shivered, footsteps pounded toward the room. Lily's hand closed on the latch. It didn't turn. The room filled with the soft sound of a little boy trying to make a new sound in the dark. The curtain still swayed as the adults rushed to the window, their voices overlapping, commands, questions, panic all wrapped together. But the smallest sound in the room was what stopped them all, a soft, broken hum coming from Cole's lips. It wasn't a word, not even a full note, but it was enough to freeze every heartbeat around him. "Did you hear that?" Paige whispered, her voice trembling. He made a sound. Daniel's eyes widened. He had waited 3 years to hear anything from his son, 3 years of silence, 3 years of staring at walls, hoping for a miracle. His throat tightened, tears burning his eyes. "Cole," he breathed, "say it again." But the boy didn't speak. He reached instead, his small hands searching for the stone Lily had placed in his palm. His fingers found only the cold rug. The sunbeam was gone, the warmth vanished, and with it, the faint courage that had opened something deep inside him. Lily, still standing by the window, whispered, "He needs the light back." Dr. Harris, startled but alert, turned toward her. "The light." Lily nodded, her curls bouncing slightly. "He was talking to it." Daniel's voice cracked, "Open the curtain." Miss Turner tugged hard, and this time the cord gave way. The curtain swung open fully, flooding the room with golden afternoon light. The bay outside shimmered like 1,000 mirrors, and dust motes swirled around them like tiny stars. Cole's face turned again, this time clearer, sharper. He was following the warmth. His lips trembled. A faint sound came out, softer than air but real. "Lee," he breathed again, like the syllable itself was made of light. Lily gasped and ran forward, kneeling beside him. "It's okay, I'm here." Her small hand touched his wrist, grounding him back to safety. He tilted his head toward her touch and smiled, a weak, broken smile that made Daniel's knees almost give out. Dr. Harris leaned forward, watching carefully. "He's responding to tactile and thermal stimulation," he muttered, voice trembling with awe. "The light, the texture, and the rhythm you made." He turned to Lily. "What did you do before this happened?" "I gave him my stone," Lily said simply, "and I tapped like this." She demonstrated again, 2 soft taps on her chest, 2 on the back of Cole's hand. Then he did it too. Paige whispered, "She built a rhythm." Daniel looked at his son, then back at the little girl who had somehow reached him where billions of dollars couldn't. "Do it again," he said quietly. Lily smiled and tapped again, 2 on her chest, 2 on his hand. Cole hesitated, then copied her. Tap, 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 tap. The sound of 2 small stones clicking together echoed through the air as if the house itself was listening. Dr. Harris scribbled notes that no one would ever read the same way again. "We've spent years trying to train him through repetition," he said softly. But she met him where he was, no pressure, no rules, just connection. Daniel's voice was low, filled with emotion. "You're saying all the money, all the treatments. None of it mattered until now," Dr. Harris finished. The moment hung there, fragile and beautiful, until Ms. Turner stepped closer to Lily. "Sweetheart," she said gently, "you did something no one else could." Lily just shrugged. "He was lonely, I could tell." The honesty in her tone made Daniel's chest ache. He had seen loneliness before, in his own reflection, in boardrooms, in his son's stillness, but never spoken so simply. "Mr. Reed," Dr. Harris said suddenly, "we need to document this. With your permission, I'd like to run a non-invasive observation session tomorrow. Nothing clinical, just record how Cole interacts with her." Daniel nodded slowly, but his eyes stayed fixed on the 2 children. Lily was tracing a circle on the rug with one of the stones, humming softly. Cole's hand followed hers as if the hum itself drew the line. The sunlight made a small halo around them. When Anna appeared at the door, she froze at the sight, her daughter sitting cross-legged with the billionaire's son, both moving together in perfect, wordless understanding. Her hand went to her mouth. "Oh my lord," she whispered. Lily looked up, beaming. "Mama, he can hear me a little." Anna's eyes filled with tears. She didn't understand how or why, but she knew something sacred was happening. Daniel finally spoke again, his voice calm but firm. "Lily," he said, "would you like to come back tomorrow?" Lily blinked. "To play with Cole?" "Yes." She smiled so wide it could have lit the room by itself. "Then yes, sir." "Good," Daniel said, "very good." Paige carried Cole to the window. The sunlight danced across his pale eyes, and for the first time in his short life his expression looked aware, like he was noticing color, even if he couldn't name it. As Lily and Anna left that day, Daniel followed them to the gate. The sun was setting behind the mansion, turning everything gold. "Anna," he said softly, "thank you for today." Anna shook her head, still overwhelmed. "Sir, it's just Lily. She's always been this way. She feels people. I didn't even know what she was doing." "She saw what the rest of us missed," Daniel replied quietly, "and maybe she reminded me what hope looks like." That night, the mansion felt different. The halls that once echoed with silence now carried a faint hum, Paige reading softly, Cole tapping his stone, the steady rhythm of a house learning to hope again. In his office, Daniel sat by the window staring at the moonlit garden. His phone buzzed with business calls he ignored. Instead, he played the security footage Ms. Turner had quietly saved from the nursery camera. There on the screen was his son turning toward light. It was small, it was everything. Downstairs, Lily's forgotten crayon rolled under the sofa, its paper wrapper torn and smudged with fingerprints. No one saw it, but it sat there like a silent witness to the day everything began to change. The next morning, before sunrise, Daniel walked into Cole's room. His son was already awake, tapping the stone gently on the blanket. Tap, 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 tap. Daniel smiled and whispered, "She's coming today." Cole stilled as if he understood. At exactly 9 a.m., Lily and her mother arrived again. She ran straight into the nursery, her laughter soft but full of joy. "Hi, Cole," she said, dropping her bag of stones beside him. "I brought more colors today." Colors, not toys, not tools, just colors. She pulled out a handful of pebbles, red, gray, cream, and one shaped like a heart. Cole reached forward slowly. He found the heart-shaped one and held it tight. Dr. Harris stood nearby, recording quietly. "Notice how he distinguishes texture before color," he murmured. "He's learning through sensation." Paige smiled, "Or maybe through love," she whispered. Outside the window, Daniel watched in silence, the weight of years lifting one breath at a time. Maybe miracles, he thought, don't come with lights and thunder. Maybe they come with dust, mud, and a little girl who believes light can be felt. Cole laughed suddenly, an unsteady, bubbling sound that filled the room like a new song. Everyone froze. It was small, it was beautiful, it was real. And that's when Lily looked up, eyes wide. "Did you hear him laugh, Mama?" He laughed. Daniel turned away quickly, covering his face as tears ran freely down. The house that had known only silence was now full of life. No one knew yet that what Lily had awakened in Cole was only the beginning, that behind his blindness lay a truth more shocking than anyone could imagine. But that part of the story will come next. The following week, the Reed mansion became a place of quiet wonder. Everyone moved softly now, as though afraid to wake a dream that had finally started to breathe. The staff spoke in low voices, the maids smiled more, and even the gardeners worked slower near the open windows of the nursery where Cole's laughter sometimes drifted out. For the first time in years, the house felt alive. Each morning, Lily arrived with her mother before the sun had fully risen. She always carried her little fabric pouch of stones, each one washed and kept clean like treasures. Some were smooth, others bumpy, but all of them were part of her strange and beautiful language, the language Cole understood better than any spoken word. Cole sat near the big bay window on a soft blanket while Lily knelt opposite him. She would hum softly while sliding the stones across his palms, and he would listen, not with his ears but with the quiet inside him. Sometimes he smiled when her rhythm changed. Sometimes he copied her movements, tapping the stones together in perfect timing. Daniel often stood outside the half-open door watching them. The mighty billionaire who once commanded boardrooms with his voice now found peace in silence. He watched his son smile, something he had almost forgotten was possible. Sometimes he caught himself thinking that maybe Lily wasn't just helping Cole hear or feel, maybe she was helping him heal too. Dr. Harris kept his promise. He brought in recording equipment, but he told no reporters, no hospitals, and no investors. "This," he said quietly one afternoon, "isn't science anymore, Daniel, it's humanity." Lily giggled one morning as she guided Cole's small hand toward a new object. "Guess what this is?" she whispered. She pressed a tiny toy horse into his palm. "It's got 4 legs and a tail." Cole's fingers explored the shape, tracing the legs, the head, the tail. Then he made a soft sound, half breath, half word. "Ha-ha." Lily clapped gently. "Horse," she whispered excitedly. "Yes, it's a horse." Paige gasped behind them. Daniel turned away quickly, his heart pounding. Each sound from Cole was like hearing a heartbeat after thinking it had stopped. That afternoon, Dr. Harris examined Cole again. He shone a gentle light near the boy's eyes, not expecting anything different, but something changed. For the briefest moment, Cole's pupils reacted. Not much, just a faint twitch, but it was there. Dr. Harris frowned, blinked, and tried again. The pupils constricted slightly, following the beam just enough to make his hands shake. He sat back slowly, disbelief softening into awe. "Daniel," he whispered, "I don't think Cole is completely blind anymore." Daniel froze. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying something inside him has changed. His optic nerves may be reacting to light." Miss Turner's hands flew to her mouth. Paige started crying quietly in the corner. Daniel's voice cracked. But how? The doctors said his condition was permanent, genetic, incurable. I don't know, Dr. Harris said softly, but whatever that little girl awakened, it's real. That evening, Daniel found Lily and her mother in the kitchen having snacks before leaving. He knelt beside the small girl who was munching on crackers. Lily, he said gently, you might have helped Cole see the light again. She looked up, crumbs on her cheek. He already saw it, she said matter-of-factly. He just needed to remember how. Daniel smiled through tears. You're something special, you know that. She nodded with childlike pride. Mama says I'm her sunshine. The next day, Cole began responding even more. When Lily moved her hand left or right, his head followed. He began recognizing the warmth of color through touch. Blue cloth made him hum softly, yellow ribbons made him smile, red marbles made him laugh. Dr. Harris recorded everything. His brain is rewiring itself, he told Daniel. He's finding a way to connect sound, warmth, and emotion. But one evening, something strange happened. Lily and Anna were about to leave when Cole started crying uncontrollably. It wasn't the usual silent tears of frustration, it was a deep, fearful cry that shook his small body. Lily ran back to him. What's wrong? She whispered. Cole, what's wrong? He reached for her hand desperately and then touched his own chest. Who hurt? He stammered weakly. Everyone froze. It was the first full word he had ever spoken. Daniel knelt beside him, terrified. Where, buddy, where does it hurt? Cole pointed toward the window, the same one where the sunlight always came through. The room had turned gray with clouds. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Dark, he whispered. No light. Lily squeezed his hand. It's okay, she said softly. The sun's just hiding, it always comes back. But Cole shook his head violently, tears streaming down. No, dark bad. Dr. Harris leaned closer. Daniel, he said carefully, his fear, it's instinctive, not learned. It's like he remembers something. Remembers what? Daniel asked, heart pounding. I don't know yet, Dr. Harris replied, but we're about to find out. The storm rolled in heavy that night. The sky cracked open with rain and thunder that rattled the glass. Lily refused to leave until Cole calmed down. Anna tried to insist, but Daniel stopped her. Let her stay, he said. Cole needs her. In the dim nursery, Lily sat beside him with a flashlight under her chin, making little shadows dance on the wall. Look, she whispered, they're just light puppets, nothing scary. Cole's breathing slowed. His fingers reached toward the wall, touching the faint shadows as if to make sure they were real. Then he looked toward the flashlight beam and for the first time truly looked. His pale eyes followed it clearly. Paige gasped. Miss Turner dropped the blanket she was folding. Dr. Harris's voice trembled. He's seeing movement, he's seeing light. Lily smiled softly. Told you the light always comes back. But outside the window, lightning flashed again, and in that blinding moment, Daniel saw something that made his heart stop. Just for a second in the reflection of the glass, he saw the faint outline of another child, one that wasn't there. A little boy standing beside Cole, almost identical. Daniel blinked hard, the reflection vanished. He stared, shaking. Did anyone see that? He whispered. Dr. Harris turned. See what? Another child, Daniel said faintly, in the reflection. The room fell silent, only the rain answered. No one knew then that the shadow Daniel saw wasn't his imagination. That reflection carried the truth of what really happened 3 years ago, the secret behind Cole's blindness and why light terrified him. The truth was coming, and when it did, it would change everything they believed about miracles, loss, and what it means to truly see. That night, sleep refused to stay in the mansion. Rain whispered against the glass while thunder rolled like a faraway drum. Every lamp in the hallway flickered as though the storm itself carried a message. Daniel paced near the nursery window, staring at the reflection that had shaken him. He kept replaying that flash in his mind, the faint outline of another child standing beside Cole. It wasn't a trick of the light, he was sure of it. Cole finally slept, his tiny fingers curled around Lily's blue stone. Lily had drifted off too, her head resting near his arm, still holding his other hand protectively. Anna dozed on the couch while Dr. Harris sat quietly by the door writing notes. No one wanted to break the fragile peace. But Daniel couldn't shake the image. Another child, he murmured again. Why would I see that? Dr. Harris looked up slowly. Daniel, he said carefully, when Cole was born, there was something in his medical record we never fully understood. Daniel's eyes snapped to him. What are you talking about? Dr. Harris hesitated. Before you and your late wife relocated after the birth, the hospital's first report showed an abnormal heartbeat pattern, 2 distinct rhythms during the first ultrasound. The attending nurse thought it was a twin pregnancy, but by delivery time, only 1 baby was recorded alive. Daniel froze, his chest tightened. A twin, he whispered. Dr. Harris nodded gently. Yes, the file was buried, possibly marked as a non-viable twin loss early in labor. But there's something strange. Cole's early scans show mirrored neurological signals, as if another infant shared his brain waves for a brief time. Daniel's breath hitched. Are you saying his blindness could be trauma from losing that connection? Dr. Harris said softly. He didn't just lose sight, he lost his other half. The room went still. Even the rain seemed to pause. Lily stirred in her sleep, her small fingers tightening around Cole. The faint glow from the nightlight reflected on their joined hands. Daniel knelt beside them, tears glistening in his eyes. All this time, he whispered, he wasn't just silent, he was grieving. When morning came, the rain stopped, leaving the garden soaked in silver dew. The air smelled clean, new, almost holy. Lily woke up first and smiled when she saw Cole already sitting upright. Good morning, sunshine, she said softly. Cole turned toward her voice. Light, he murmured, reaching out. Lily giggled. Yes, the light's back. Miss Turner rushed in. Mr. Reed, you need to see this. Daniel hurried over. On the nursery window, where condensation had formed from the rain, 2 tiny handprints pressed side by side, one clearly Cole and another faint, smaller one beside it. No one had touched that glass all night. Dr. Harris whispered, impossible. Daniel stared, unable to breathe. It's him, his twin. As the morning sun rose, the faint second handprint slowly faded, but not before Cole turned his face toward it and whispered something that made every adult in the room cry. Bye-bye, brother. Lily wiped her tears with her sleeve. He's not scared of the dark anymore, she whispered. His brother was there all along. Dr. Harris swallowed hard. His brain was healing through memory, through connection. That's why Lily reached him. She reminded him of the presence he lost. Daniel sat down beside his son, gently cupping his cheek. You were never alone, my boy, he said softly. You just needed someone to help you remember the light. Cole smiled, a real, bright smile that seemed to melt the last of the shadows in the room. He lifted Lily's blue stone to the sunlight, and for the first time his eyes followed the sparkle clearly. Blue, he whispered. Lily gasped and covered her mouth. He said blue. Paige sobbed. Miss Turner clapped a trembling hand over her lips. Anna fell to her knees in gratitude. Even Dr. Harris blinked back tears as he whispered, miracle confirmed. Daniel closed his eyes and whispered a quiet prayer of thanks. 3 years of silence had broken, not through science, not through wealth, but through the pure heart of a poor little girl who saw with kindness instead of pity. That afternoon, reporters gathered outside the Reed gates trying to uncover how the billionaire's blind son could see again. But Daniel said nothing. He made sure Lily and her mother were driven home quietly, away from the cameras. This story wasn't for fame, it was for faith. Weeks later, the mansion looked different. The windows stayed open now, letting in light. The nursery was filled with laughter and toys instead of wires and machines. Cole learned to walk confidently, guided by Lily's voice. She visited every weekend, running barefoot through the garden with him, and every time she left, Cole stood by the window waving at the sun. One evening, Daniel stood at the doorway watching them play. He turned to Dr. Harris and smiled. You know, he said quietly, I spent half my life building things, buildings, companies, power, but that little girl built something none of us could. Dr. Harris nodded. She built a bridge between darkness and light. When Lily turned 5, Daniel surprised her with a small gold locket shaped like a stone. Inside it was engraved one simple line, "You taught the blind to see." She hugged him tight and whispered, "He wasn't blind, Mr. Reed. He was just waiting for someone to hold his hand." That night, Daniel walked into Cole's room. The boy was sitting by the window looking at the moon. "Daddy," he said softly, "light sleeps there, right?" Daniel smiled, his heart full. Yes, son, it sleeps there and it always comes back. Cole turned to him, eyes glimmering faintly with color, and whispered, "So did I." Daniel hugged him close, tears falling freely. Yes, you did. And for the first time in years, he wasn't holding onto sorrow, he was holding onto a miracle. Before you go, hit that subscribe button to support our growth, and don't forget to drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Share this story to remind someone that miracles still happen when love leads the way.